I'll demonstrate in this video how to change the profile on a wall. The profile can be the silhouette of a wall as seen projected perpendicularly away from the surface of the wall, or it could be it could also include openings within the wall as well. So this is a technique you can use for either of those conditions. I'll start this by creating just a wall, and I'm just going to go ahead and pick just a generic wall here, 8-inch wall. And I'm going to go ahead and draw these walls at any location. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing here more easily. And I'm going to go ahead and just complete that. That's enough information for what I have to do here. And now I'm going to go ahead and edit the profile on this wall. Now, normally when you do this, you don't want to do this in a 3D view. It's easier for sketching purposes when you're in sketch mode if you're in an orthogonal view. So if you switch to the north view on this, that would be a good option if I were to double click this to edit this wall. If I wanted to edit this wall, I could quickly switch to my east view to edit that wall. But this wall here is a little bit different. In order to really edit this properly, it's nice if you're looking straight at it. So I'm going to employ a sneaky device here. I'm actually going to go to the View tab on the ribbon, and then select the Elevation View, which is this tool that you see here. This will then allow me to move this marker near walls, and you'll notice that when you move near a wall, it automatically points to the wall. It thinks you want to do an elevation of that wall. Well, that's perfect because this is in fact the wall I want to take a look at. So I'm going to drop this elevation marker here just by left clicking on it. I'll go back to the Modify button to unselect that tool. And now you'll notice if I were to click on this, I could tell it which direction I want to look if there was a different direction for this elevation mark that I wanted to look at. But in this case, I'm going to click on the triangle here, and this grip controls how far the elevation is going to be looking, the depth of the elevation look. If I left it here, you wouldn't see this wall. If I move it to here, you're going to see a little bit of this wall. If I move it all the way to here, you'll see the entire length of this wall. This wall, of course, will be obstructed by these two objects here. So then these controls here allow you to limit the amount of the width of the view as you're working. So just grab that and move it around. And you can see you can actually move this too, so you can control precisely where that view starts from as well as where it ends. So that looks pretty reasonable to me. So I'm going to double click this portion of this marker now to switch to that view. You can also simply double click the view that you see that's been created here. And now that blue line that you saw before is actually what determines the location for these on the sides. So now I have this wall here. I want to see a little more height on here, so I'm just going to grab this marker, round circle object, and drag the height of the view up. There you can see is that wall that continues off in the distance at an angle to this particular view. So now I'll select this wall, and when you select a wall, you can of course control the height and the width and the depth of the wall. But what I want to do in this case is go up to the Mode panel here and select this button here that says Edit Profile. This will bring you into sketch mode. So you'll know when you're in sketch mode because the walls or the lines that you're trying to edit will turn this magenta pink color. And you'll have some simple drawing tools here, and you'll have the ability to finish the edit mode, or you can cancel the edit mode. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe take this line here and maybe stretch this line here backwards a little bit. So now I've created this gap here that I need to fix, and to fix that I'm just going to go ahead and sketch. So I'm going to pick maybe the line tool here, and I'll sketch up like this and across like this, and maybe at an angle like this. And you can see I'm using my O-snaps as I do this. I can also then pick other tools and use the drawing tools that you see up here to use different methods for drawing different geometry. And you can also see values in here. So if you want something very specifically to be set to a specific value, you could type in a distance of 5, say for 5 feet. And you can use your dimensioning tools anywhere within this sketch mode. You can even see here's a dimensioned tool here as well. So if you wanted this line to be precisely 19 feet away, you could change that using that dimension that you see that appeared there. So I'll delete that. I don't really want that there. So you can also continue to sketch other things. So here's a circular opening maybe on this wall. You can even do things that make no sense, like have objects within objects. If you want to put an opening down here, you can manually create an opening. So this might be really useful if you're going to have an opening that that you don't want to use a wall opening tool for. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe make this opening a little bit odd, just to show you how this works. I'm going to use the trim tool to click this and this, because you can't have overlapping lines or lines that meet at intersections like was there before. Lines have to meet perfectly endpoint to endpoint for this tool to work properly. If they don't, you'll get an alert message here that will tell you that you have a problem in your sketch. So all of this looks fine to me, and there are other tools too. You could use a spline tool here. Let's do something wild and crazy out here to see what happens. We'll just put some strange object up here like this. I'll come back to here, and I will go ahead and use the split tool to break this into two parts. You can't use the trim tool when it comes to using splines like this, so you have to instead just use your O-snaps to change the location on that one over to the endpoints on the spline. You can always edit the spline afterwards if you want to change the shape of something here. So there we have some strange form coming out of the top of this thing here. And now that I'm happy with this, you can always move things around later if you want to. So grip select them, or select them and just simply drag them around as you want to. Most things will remain locked, so if I change this value, you'll see that these lines are connected to those, so they'll stay endpoint to endpoint joined. So if I take this and move it to the side, you'll notice that it stays connected properly. So things behave pretty well for the most part. So once you're happy with all of the changes you've made, you can then click the check mark to finish the edit or sketch mode. And now you can see I'm back to my selected walls. You will find that grips will appear here for different parts. So you'll notice you can actually change things afterwards without having to go back into sketch mode. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's just the way it functions. Now if I go back to a 3D view, you can see that there is in fact the modified wall in its entirety. And if I go to a different visual style here, you can see that the wall is in fact shaped just like my sketch was. If you're not happy with it and you want to undo that, there's a button called Reset Profile. If you select this, it will undo everything and put the wall back the way it was. You'll notice that in this case the wall stuck out further, and that's because the sketch mode must have actually kicked the wall out deeper. So if that happens, you can just go back to the trim tool. I'll just type in the letters TR to invoke the trim tool, and I'll pick those two walls, and it cleans up the intersection properly on the model here. I hope that explains how the tool to edit profile works for you in Revit.